Hey, this is Little Talk with Big Nikki.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Little Talks with Big Nikki. Happy end of January. We have made it through the first month of 2020. That's crazy. It's already gone. That's insane. So, what are we going to be talking about today on Little Talks with Big Nikki? Reciprocity. Oh, so exciting, I know. That's also like a really hard but really fun word for me to say. Reciprocity. Doesn't even sound like a real word, but I swear it is. So, got to thinking about this the other day because of Instagram. Because that's where all the world's problems come from, social media. I'm just kidding. That's not true. It can be a very good thing, but also can be a very bad thing. But I do love me some Instagram, and I've noticed that I can be a petty person. In the last episode, we talked about personal growth. That's something else I need to work on. That's something I have been working on, though. Not as much as I should be, but I'm like very, very aware of it. And I really have gotten better with it. That is a real thing. I've come a long way with my pettiness. I can be very passive aggressive. I can talk. Passive aggressive and petty. But I'm fixing it. I am fixing it, everyone. Bettering myself. But with that being said, I noticed I can still be petty, but see, no one else is gonna know. But I'm about to wrap myself out right now. This is for everyone that I follow. I'm so sorry if I do this to you. I'm a terrible person. I'm sorry. I will not like your photo, pretty much no matter how dope it is, if you on a regular basis don't like mine. I said it. There. I said it. My cards, they're on the table. I admit it. Come for me in my DMs. I don't care. I said what I said, and I can guarantee you that I am not the only one that thinks like that. Guaranteed. So, why do we do this, and what does reciprocity mean in 2020, but also trying to be a good person? And from my standpoint, as a person of faith, I claim to be a Christian, but then I don't want to give unless I'm given to. That's just not right. It's not right. So let's talk about it. This is self-therapy for me because there's nobody else here right now live that I'm talking to, so I'm talking to all of you in a future date. Reciprocity. I don't know. Okay, let's try and unpack this. I don't know why I do this. I think it's because it's like we follow each other. Most of these people I know and or see on a somewhat acquaintance regular basis. I know them. It's not like it's just a random account that I'm following for some reason and I don't know the person. But it's like maybe it'd be different if I was getting like 1,000 likes on a photo, because then it's like, how the heck do you keep track of who the heck liked your stuff? Like, there's just too much coming in. Like, you can't keep track. But because I don't get 1,000 likes on my photo, see, there's a very simple solution to this. Everyone needs to go like my Instagram pictures. That's so worldly of me. Ew. Okay. That was a joke, by the way. But no, seriously. But because, like, in all reality, because I only get 100 and something likes usually on a photo, it's very easy for me to see who likes it. So then when I'm going through Instagram and I see so-and-so posted a photo and I'm like, they never like any of my stuff, why should I like theirs? Is that not fair? Is that not a fair way of doing things? Oh, it's fair, all right. It's just not very nice. It's so petty. Oh my gosh, Nicole, it's Instagram. But see, I want to talk this out with you guys, because it's like, why? In the grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter. But I wonder, I'm like sitting here, I'm talking out loud in my thoughts. I'm wondering if it boils down to, like, not popularity even, but just in competition. Like, okay, the one very specific person I'm thinking of right now, oh gosh, I shouldn't even say this, because if they listen, it's gonna be like so bad. Ugh. All right, throw caution in the wind. So what for saving face in 2020? They're a photographer. It's a photographer. There, I said it. We're just narrowing down the list as we go. So if you're listening to this and you think it's you, I'm so sorry. It's nothing. It is absolutely nothing personal. But I'm wondering if it's almost like a competition thing, where it's like, okay, well, they never like any of my photos, so why am I going to contribute to the liking of their photos, and then their photo has like 400 likes and mine has like 125? Like, why is that fair to me? This is very selfish and very petty. I am ashamed. I am ashamed of myself. But I'm honestly thinking that's why I do it, because it's like, it's contributing to them when they don't contribute back to me, and like, we're kind of in competition. That sounds so weird. There shouldn't be I mean, it's not a competition. Competition is not the right word. I'm just thinking in terms of, like, if someone goes on their Instagram page and they see that they have about 400 likes on a photo, and they go on my Instagram page and see they have about, like, that I have 125 likes on a photo, who are they more likely to hire? I know that sounds ridiculous, but that's kind of how some people think. I think that's how a lot of us think. Like, if you're looking at two photographers and you're like, oh, like, their work, you know, of course it's like different because it's a different person doing it, but then it's like, well, they have more followers and more likes, so I'm gonna go with them. And then it's like, okay. Okay. Man, that is so, I'm so sorry. This is horrible of me. I'm realizing just how much personal growth I need the more I talk. But I think even if there's people I'm thinking of too that aren't photographers, okay? So this isn't even about like a competitive, like, photography, trying to get business from this imaginary person. This is about just competition in general, because then it's like, well, if I'm gonna like Susie's picture, but she's not gonna like mine, like, this is so dumb though, because 2020, like, I like to preach like positivity, and it's not like I'm being a hypocrite. I mean, I very much can be a hypocrite, but I really do like try to send love and like positivity to people. But I guess someone who's not like a friend, and maybe they're just like an acquaintance, I have a hard time in elevating them. That's so bad. It's okay. No, this is what it boils down to. It's hard to elevate those who don't elevate you. There it is. There it is. It is hard to elevate those who do not elevate you. But that is like the whole call and challenge of being a follower of Jesus, is regardless of how somebody treats you, you're supposed to treat them like twofold. So like, if they hit you, turn the other cheek, let them smack the other one. Like, that type of thing of, you know, like, so if this person maybe likes one post I post a month, I should be liking every single one of theirs that I see, regardless. And I think I need to start having that mindset. I was on Instagram this morning actually, and I caught myself passing. I passed the post of this person, and then I was like, and I went back and I liked it. So I'm being more cognizant of it, but it's hard to want to be supportive and elevating to people, even just with something as simple as a like. That's what is so annoying about this as I'm saying it, is it's like, it's a like. It's just a like on a post. Like, they probably don't even notice that they don't like your stuff, or they probably don't even notice that you aren't liking. Like, nobody probably even notices this crap except for me. That's not true. I talk about this stuff because I feel like it's relatable. Like, there's a lot of us that think like this, but this is so like immature. So it's just immature of me to not like it. So I think I need to be more cognizant of, I don't care who posted it. If it's a photo I like, then I'm gonna like it. Darn it, I'm gonna like it. And maybe I need to even go as far as starting to like comment. I was for a while, there was like a couple girls where I don't know why, but I just, on almost every single one of their pictures, I would like comment something like kind. And it's not like being fake. I think it's a genuine want to like spread positivity. But then there again, like once I did it, they reciprocated it. So then it was easy to do it again because it was reciprocated. Reciprocity. So see how this goes. We all want, at the end of the day, even if we say we don't, we all want something in return. We all want to be given something for giving to somebody else. That's human nature. That is human nature in a nutshell. But then there's those people on Instagram where it doesn't matter what they post, I just always like their stuff. Like, so I'm scrolling and I see who it is, I just like it because of who, like, the account is, of who it is. I just always like it. It does not matter what the photo is. Other people though, it's like, what is the photo? Who is it? I sit there and like examine this stuff, and then I scroll past it and not like it. And then I think, okay, Nicole, well, this is kind of like the energy you're putting out there. So how many people are doing that to you? You know, maybe you need to start liking their stuff and they'll start liking your stuff. But there again, it's like the mindset of reciprocity. This is so sad. But I think this applies. Okay, let me get out of the box of Instagram before you all think I'm just like some immature like person who cares so much about this stuff. I honest to God don't give that much thought to it on a day-to-day basis. Like, Instagram is not that important to me where I'm like tossing and turning at night because so-and-so doesn't like my post. But it was just a thought I had, so I thought we'd talk about it. But outside of the box of Instagram, the idea of reciprocity in other areas is also interesting. Do you give when you are not given to? And if we all had to sit and be honest with ourselves, I think a lot of the time we probably don't. We all probably know, whether you're a Christian or not, and you know want to put that label on yourself and your beliefs or not, a lot of us probably don't, but we know that we should. But it is so hard because then the whole thing comes down to, what is in it for me? I've noticed myself doing this in like personal relationships where I'm like, well, if they're not gonna say X, Y, or Z, or they're not gonna do X, Y, or Z, then I'm not gonna say or do X, Y, or Z. Where does that get any of us? It's like mental like games. Like, why am I playing this with myself and with the other person? I don't understand it. It's such a hard thing to, I'm Googling something because I'm curious. If you're watching this or hear me typing, you're like, what is she doing? It's just such a, it's something that nobody talks about though, because it's like the unspoken, like, oh, you're just supposed to like give unselfishly of yourself. But then nobody talks about like the mental process that you have to go through and think about before you can make yourself make that decision, because sometimes it is making yourself do it because you know it's the right thing to do, but you don't want to do it. That's usually how most right things to do are. You're like, I know this is the right thing, but I just don't want to do it. I was just curious what like the like legit definition of reciprocity is. The practice of exchanging things with others for mutual benefit, especially privileges granted by one country or organization to another. So practice of exchanging things with others for mutual benefit. So the definition of reciprocity in and of itself is that there's an exchange and that there's a benefit to both parties or all parties involved. So it's a hard pill to swallow when you have to be bigger than the exchange and the mutual benefit and just say, you know what, I'm just going to do this because this is the nice thing to do, this is the right thing to do, even if there is no reciprocation involved. Wow. Yeah, that's tough. I'm curious to know how many people think like this, especially on social media, because I feel like so many of us spend a large part of our time on social media. So I'm curious to know if anyone else has thought of this. I'm sure they have, or if they behave this way. When you say it, I cannot explain to you that when you say that out loud about yourself, how like sick with yourself you are. Like, it's so petty and stupid. But it's almost like that's like the bad thing about social media, is I feel like it can easily make you petty and stupid. But then what's scary is like where you're investing your time is going to determine how you handle or act in other situations of life, especially or like for all these teenagers like growing up on social media now. So like, let's say like this was my mindset as a 13-year-old. I mean, I'm only 21, but it's still scary to know, like, now that I recognize that that's my attitude on Instagram, well, what's my attitude gonna be like with my roommate if there's no reciprocation, but I should do something regardless? Or what's it gonna be like with my future husband if, again, there's no reciprocation, but I should do something regardless? If I'm gonna carry these feelings of like immaturity and like pettiness, like that's not good. That is not good. So if anything, I hope this podcast just addresses this issue of like, it's just of like just being disgusted with yourself for not just behaving in a mature and like adult fashion. Like I'm an adult and I'm being like this to other people. It's like elementary or middle school where you're like, well, Caroline didn't like my picture, so I'm not liking Susie's, and Susie didn't like Caroline's, and it's like, what? Are we 10? No. So I'm telling myself, grow the frick up, stop being petty, be a good person. If you like the photo, then actually like the photo. How hard is that? It's not difficult at all. That's my ramble on reciprocity. I think we all expect to get, and we're happy to give when we're getting something, but it's very, very difficult for any of us to actually give when we're not getting something in return. It's very sticky business. reciprocity. But think about that. Think about that this week. Think about how you react in situations of, you know, if you're not being reciprocated with something, are you still gonna behave in a certain way, or are you gonna be petty and immature and behave in a different way because you're not getting anything in return? So why are you gonna give anything? I think this could even go as deep as into relationships, in terms of like, I mean, if we want to be real, like, oh, well, you know, it's when you are like starting to date someone, it's like, well, I'm giving you my heart, so you're giving me, I'm giving you my heart, so you're giving me yours, right? Right? Like, that's basically like what you're asking of the other person. And in that sense, there does need to be reciprocity. So there's times in life where the reciprocation has to exist, or it really is not a good situation. But then it's like, okay, well, if they haven't texted you all day, and, you know, you could be like, well, if they're not going to text me, I'm not going to text them. But like, I mean, you don't know what's going on. Like, where does that get you? Like, you text them. This gets into like a whole different thing of like giving your energy to people who don't give the energy back. I talked about, a long time ago, probably like last April or something, about you got to protect your energy, which is 110,000% true. You have to know the lines. You have to know the lines of like when there does need to be reciprocation, i.e. in terms of relationship, and, you know, if you're giving your time and effort and love and the other person's not, then obviously like that's not okay. But in terms of reciprocation of, you know, helping a coworker out by covering a shift and not expecting in return that they are necessarily going to be able or want to cover your shift. Like, you should, like, if you ask later down the road, like, you should just do it. So it's a very fine line of knowing when no reciprocation is, it is what it is, and you should just be the bigger and better person and behave accordingly. Or if the reciprocation is needed, and if it's not there, then that's very not good and a very like dangerous emotional state to be in. At the end of the day, it really, I think, all comes down to emotions. Like I said about the Instagram thing, like feeling like you're in some sort of like competition with the other person, or the feeling of like them being more elevated than you. Because at the end of the day, like, we all just want to be seen, heard, known, and loved. I mean, a lot could argue, I could even argue, like, maybe that's why I started this podcast, because whatever thoughts I'm having, like, about crap like this, like, I want to be heard, and yeah, like, be kind of cool to be known from, you know, this content that I'm putting out. But again, very natural human feelings and emotions. Doesn't make it wrong. Doesn't make it wrong at all to have those thoughts. But it's how much they're steering you and what you're gonna do with them, I think, is the important part. So yeah, this is kind of like a shorter podcast. Sorry about that. I don't have like a lot on reciprocity. It was just something that was very prevalent, like I said, to my mind, because I noticed this pattern of behavior on my behalf on Instagram lately, where I'm just not liking people's photos because I know they're not liking mine. It made me start thinking about all this. It's not a nice trap to fall into. It really isn't. And like I said, it kind of like makes you disgusted with yourself that you would stoop so low. Like, why does it matter? And there again, it's the root of the issue is never just the surface of, oh, well, they don't like mine, so I don't like theirs. No, like the root of the issue is your insecurities or your fear of not being better than them. At the end of the day, I think all of us have times in our lives where we want to feel like we are the superior being. In one aspect or another, you want to feel like you are above somebody else. It just feeds you. There again, this is like the human nature, which human nature in a lot of these regards kind of like sucks, which is what makes us human, which is what makes us imperfect. Because we all are imperfect and we all suck, from time to time at least. And it like feeds you this power because you know that you're over somebody. Isn't that scary? I would never want to be president. Can you imagine being president? I'm not even talking about our current president. We ain't gonna get into that. But just in general, like the power that comes in that you have over not only like your country, but then being like the US, like you have over like other countries. Like that's a lot of power. But then we have to look at like famous people and be like, is there any wonder why like some of them are the way they are? Like imagine if you had that type of like power because of who you are and like what your name is. It carries weight, it carries power. Like how would you behave? It's so funny to me. Like we're all so quick to judge each other. I'm guilty. I'm so guilty. But then it's like, okay, but then like what if I was in that position with that type of authority? Like what would I do with it? There's just something else to think about too. Because a lot of people like complain about like their bosses or their superiors. I'm very lucky in my life. Like everyone I work for is so good. I work for great people who don't have a chip on their shoulder or anything. But then you think like, okay, well, what if I was in their position? Would I treat people differently? Would I treat people as nice? Like, if you're being honest with yourself, maybe not. It's just, yeah. But the scary thing too is like, you never know, like you might be in that position one day. Like what if you are promoted to like a managerial status, and then it's like, how are you going to treat people? And all you can hope is any bad experience coming up of how people treated you, that you would remember that and want to treat others differently, because you remember what it was like. The scariest thing is when people don't remember what it was like on the quote unquote other side of things. They like forget where they came from and they just go with the flow of like what they have now. And most of the time, most stories that have come out and people have said, it's like these people who forget where they came from, like they just go AWOL and treat people like crap and can have anything they want at the drop of a hat, and that's just how they act all the time. So I mean, yeah, there's like, they say there's responsibility with authority, and they're 100% correct. There really is. But it's just a crazy concept to think about of like, if you were in so-and-so's shoes, like how would you treat people if you had the decision to do this or this? Like what would your decision be? Like how would you treat people? All that to come back to reciprocity. And I kind of transitioned. Maybe this won't be as short of a podcast as I thought it was going to be. I swear, guys, I have topics like down and like I think about stuff I do, but just sometimes I don't put 2 and 6 together until I'm talking. Another topic I had to talk about this year was the fact of like, and I just kind of mentioned this, like working with people with chips on their shoulders. There again, we all like to be in a superior position. Some of us more than others, more often. I think that's a personality thing. Some people are really okay just being in the background, not being known. Like, hey, like I'm just here and I just do my job and I just like, and you know, good for those people. But a lot of us, like me, like I'm pretty vocal. I like sharing my thoughts and my ideas, and yeah, I would be lying to say like it's not nice to sometimes feel like you're the most something in the room, whether it's like the smartest, most experienced, funniest, which is never me. I'm never that person in the room. I'm not that funny by nature. I usually let other people take that category, but it's nice to be like the most something in an environment. And there again, not that 98% of us are really, we're not going to use that to like abuse it and treat people like crap, but it just feeds you some like something in your soul where you're like, oh, well, I'm the superior being, you know? But working with people who have a chip on their shoulder, that's not even, okay, even if you're not working for them, being around someone who has a chip on their shoulder. See, because the difference in my mind between somebody who is like every other human being who likes to feel like they know what they're talking about, they're like the superior person in the situation, in the environment, and the person who has a chip on their shoulder is the person, even if they are feeling superior, they are still humble and respectful enough to lower themselves down to teach and explain and walk through the other people in the room. I hope that makes sense. So like, they are the ones, I'm sure they're getting some sort of like little like extra ego boost because they're confident. They're confident in their abilities, in their work, in what they've done and what they can bring to the table. They're confident, and you should have that confidence about you, especially if, you know, you have a long list to back it up. So they're confident in these things. But then they're able to still take themselves back. Oh, I remember when I was your age. Oh, I remember when I was in your shoes and I didn't know what the heck I was doing. Let me teach you how to do this. Let me walk you through this. They feel good because they know something you don't, but they don't show it. They don't brag about it. The people with a chip on their shoulder, the problem is they are so caught up in being the superior person in the situation that they get more pleasure out of talking down to you or talking to you like you're stupid or what, you don't know that already? You should know this already. And like, there's no way that someone with that attitude, with a chip on their shoulder, can create an effective learning environment or be a good leader, because not a lot of people are going to respect that person enough to follow their direction and their order and what that person might be telling them to do. You really do, I think, to be like an effective leader, you need to be respectful, and then in turn you gain respect. Because if people don't respect you, you can say the greatest thing under the sun. You can know exactly what you're doing, but no one is going to want to execute it 100% if you're just going to talk down to them. Because people shut down. People will emotionally shut down. So have not worked for anyone like this. Everyone in my life now, no chip on their shoulder at all, which I'm very appreciative for. But I have been in the same room as and encountered people and heard stories from other people of, these people who have a chip on their shoulder for whatever reason. They think that they're the best thing ever. They're the hottest crap around. And as my mom would say, their poop don't stink. But they just carry like this, oh, well, I'm better than you. And, oh, well, it's not like I started like you or anything. Not like I was in your shoes about 15 years ago or anything. They forget. And that's why I said a couple minutes ago, the most dangerous and scariest of people are the people who forget where they came from. Because you can have all the freaking success in the world, and you can be confident in it. You can brag about it a little. You don't always have to be the most humble person. You should be humble to a point, but you can be proud in your accomplishments. I think people get so caught up in like, oh, well, if I'm like proud of this or this that I did, then it's like, then I'm conceited and I'm not humble. And it's like, no, like be proud of what you did because you came a long way. But then if you forget where you came from, then you're conceited and then you're just bragging, because then you're so self-absorbed that you're not able to help anybody but yourself. And then that's where the problem comes in. That's where the chip comes on the shoulder. And it's so irritating and it's so annoying to be around somebody like that, because also it's dangerous for them because they've just closed themselves off to a whole slew of people who could have potentially taught them something or grown them in some personal or skilled, career driven aspect. Like, you've just closed yourself down to the opportunity of learning and exchanging with another human being because you're too busy worrying about your insight being the best insight there ever was and ever will be, and you can never be wrong. And then you are blocking yourself from change. It's so scary. I hate seeing people like that, because I want to say it's like not their fault, because somehow like they got to be like that. And I don't know everyone's story, and I don't know like why they are the way that they are. As with most people, we don't know what people are going through. We don't know why people are the way that they are. That's why it's good to be as nice as you can to everyone. Nicole, I'm talking to myself, like, reciprocity or not, like, you need to be kind to people. And see, that's the thing, like, you don't, and I'm taking like my own personal situation just with this Instagram stuff. I'm not being a mean person. And so this is where like the prevention of growth can easily come in, because it's like, well, I'm not going on their Instagram and commenting like mean things about them. And it's like, okay, no, you're not. Like, yeah, you could be a worse person, but guess what? You're not being the best person you could be either, because instead of liking the photo, you're like ignoring, like you didn't even see it. So, and then like that person might feel bad, like, oh, well, I only got this many likes on my photo, which would be a lot for you, but to them, like, that might kind of hurt their self-esteem about the photo or themselves, whatever the post might be. But it's like, that's the thing, is like we always say like, well, I could always be so and so. I could always be worse. Yeah, but could you also maybe be better? And then that's the question that we don't ask ourselves enough. Well, could I be better in this situation? And like self-assessing this as I'm talking it out with all of you. This is my therapy, everybody. It really is. I started it for therapy, and that's what it is for me. But talking it out, it's like, yeah, it could be worse, but I was like, but have I been doing the best that I can do in this situation, and have I been doing better? And the answer is no, I haven't. So essentially, like, you're just as bad as, you know what I mean? Like, you're really not doing any better, even though we like to believe we are, than the person who is maybe commenting mean things, And it's not even that I have anything mean to say. I have nothing against these people. That's even what makes this worse, is I have no problem with the people. I just don't. It's the whole reciprocity thing. I just haven't been liking your post because you don't like mine. And that's as simple as it is, and that's crazy to me. But yeah, people with chips on their shoulder, they're a whole different beast. And then if you are around, or you do work for, or whatever your connection is to someone who does have a chip on their shoulder, how are you, and how do you treat them? Because that's tough. Because that they're not gonna see, and there again, they're like on the extreme, and not only are they not giving you anything in return, but they could very well be rude to you or demeaning to you. And like, how do you deal with that? Especially like if you have contact with this person repeatedly, how do you deal with them like treating you like that? There again, to a point, you have to just step up and be the bigger person, and know that you're not going to get anything for it in return, from that person, and just be nice as you can regardless. But then also it comes to a point of like, okay, well, are they really being like a jerk to you and like extending your mental and emotional energy? Then maybe that's a situation you need to get out of. There again, fine line between protecting your energy and the reciprocity thing. It's a very, very fine line. And this is why I'm not like really giving advice. Like, this isn't like an advice giving podcast, because I don't have solutions. I have a whole crap ton of problems. I got 99 problems, but a solution ain't one. Okay, that doesn't even make sense. Sorry, I thought I had something cool. I didn't. That doesn't even make sense to me. I'm so sorry. Sorry, Jay-Z. I just butchered your song. But yeah, I have problems, and I have these thoughts, and I don't really have solutions necessarily, and there again, every situation is so different. To give general advice is trying to speak for everything and everyone, and you just can't do that. But it's making me even think of, like, if I do ever get in a situation where I'm constantly around someone who has a chip on their shoulder and an ego, how am I going to deal with that? And so it's like these little things. It's like these times in life where it's like these little things where, as stupid as the Instagram thing is, maybe me recognizing what I'm doing on there now and dealing with the reciprocity issue now is actually preparing me for down the road if I do get into a situation where there's like a person right in front of me every day of the week, that I have to have some sort of, even if it's just a working relationship with, like, how am I going to treat them and how am I going to deal with them? So just stop and think, in your life. It's Instagram. Like, this is literally so dumb, and like the issue's like so petty, but if you stop and think of it, maybe you being the better person and realizing that you need to be the bigger and better person in this situation is preparing you potentially for a situation down the road where you're going to need every bit of strength and like prayer and everything to be nice to someone and to give your energy to someone who doesn't give any of it back to you. So just something to think about there too. I lied. This wasn't going to be a short podcast, but it was a good lie. See, sorry. But we just combined two topics, reciprocity and dealing with people who have a chip on their shoulder. And neither of them are easy. And like I said, there's not a fix-all, like one size fits all, fixes all solution to this problem. There's not. I've been talking a lot. My throat is feeling the burn. I could talk forever though. I just need some water, honestly. But I won't talk forever. I think I covered what I need to cover in this episode. I appreciate you guys so much for listening. But yeah, leave a review if that's possible. Make sure you're following my podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel. You give this video a thumbs up if you like it. Leave a comment. If there's, anything you want to say about something I've said today, I would love to have like dialogue about it. Future ideas for future podcasts, that would be much appreciated as well. Make sure you follow me. I will be sure to actually in the description tag my social media at names, and on YouTube it's popping up on your screen though right now. Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Your girl's most active on Instagram though. Yeah, I think that covers it for me. Hope you all had a great first month of the year. Happy last day of January, and we'll see you next time on the next episode of Little Talks with Big Nikki. All right, y'all, have a great week. Peace.